We're back, and we're back here with Brian Jacques. Brian, welcome back to the show.
It's nice to be here, Sam.
It has been too long.
We've been round the block a few times, haven't we, lad?
More than a few times. Now, for our viewers, yes. I want one time to hear the proper way to yell the title of this book as if you were a hare on the long patrol.
That's right. Well, this title was used by Viking berserks and Celtic warriors back in history. And it's Eulalia! Whack! Cut your head off and throw it in your face.
It's a wonderful novel. It's again,
oh, yeah.
It's got some absolutely marvelous characters. We follow the adventures of several extremely interesting young beasts. We follow a badger named Gorath, who is destined for Salabandastron. Flame the Flame. Gorath the Flame.
Gorath the Flame.
And then we
just imagine a policeman coming up to you and saying, "What's your name?" You go, "Gorath the Flame." You go, "Okay, no trouble."
Well, and a young hare maid, Maggie Mugsberry Thornruppel.
Maudie
Mugsberry Thornruppel. And Orville Prink.
Orville Prink. Yeah.
Who is a young hedgehog, who's just one step above a dubbin,
yeah.
and is already an accomplished little snatcher there.
And all the vermin keep mispronouncing as awful stink. Keeps falling in the swamps, doesn't he?
And while you're on the tour here in the U.S., it's currently being promoted by your publisher as the 20th Redwall novel. Eulalia! And what an absolutely amazing run it has been.
Yeah.
First time we talked was when Martin the Warrior was out, and we ambushed you after a signing in a bookstore, and you stayed long enough to have a talk with us.
That's right.
And since then, they just keep coming.
Keep coming.
And coming.
Keep coming.
And coming. And you come out and you sit down, and the kids keep coming and coming and coming. It's amazing.
And the children now.
Their
20
kids.
years, they're coming with their kids now, you know.
Let me ask you, when this all started, I know it just kind of happened. I mean, friends realized what you had done, put you in a position where you could do it more often, and then the talent just basically kept you doing it, and the love of the writing kept you doing it. But it's been 20 years now. Is there a difference in terms of the entire process, the entire experience between when it all started and started to grow and now?
That's a difficult question, that, Tom.
Don't ask the easy ones.
Well, the first one sort of made itself, you know, because all the ideas were fresh. And then each time I came back to Redwall, it became just a little bit more difficult. You have to sit down and think a bit more. No, I've done that. No, I can't, you know, now we must think of a new idea. And so, but it's never too difficult, because when I go away for that 3 months, when I write a book, I go to live in my world. And it comes back to me fresh. When you finish a novel of 400 and odd pages, you sit back and you say, great, you know. But I have this Irish, Catholic, Liverpool, working class soul. I can't stop work, you see, Tom. And when I finish the book, they'll say, now you must take a rest. And I say, I'm going to take a rest. Now that's it, rest, okay. 2 days. I'm like the tiger pacing up and down the cage.
I know exactly.
I've got to get back. Incidentally, with it being the 20th year since Redwall was introduced to America, which incidentally I don't like to think of 20th year, because as I say to the kids, nothing in Redwall happens in years, it happens in seasons. So now I'm going to ask you a question, and you get a prize for answering. Now, if it's been out 20 years, how many seasons is that?
It's been 80 seasons.
There's your badge. There's your badge.
Oh,
they've made that specially for me. Load of these.
Oh, I will treasure that, sir.
It's a nice little badge.
Beautiful.
With the sword.
With the sword.
Yeah.
And the shield of Mar. Oh, thank you, Brian. Thank you very much. That's amazing.
Yep.
It's amazing. And it's not just Redwall.
Oh, no.
You know, recently, you've been exploring another world.
Oh, yeah.
You've been exploring another world with the only two people to basically be able to step off, the Flying Dutchman.
The castaways of the dying Flutchman.
and they're fascinating stories. They're wonderful stories. What drove you to tell this story of this young man and his dog?
Well, I wanted to write something different from Redwall, you know, because I am a writer and I have this talent. I can write different things. And they go, oh, I don't know. I said, so I just put my foot down. Right, well, you know, you'll have to suffer this because I'm going to write this book. So, okay. So I thought, now the great legends of the sea, because the sea, it just fascinates me. The amount of the world, I think it's 6/10 or 7/10, something like that, the world is covered in water. You know, and all those legends and the great, you know, the tsunamis and the great whirlpools and everything. And I thought of the legends, you know, the Marie Celeste and the Flying Dutchman, Van der Decken, the captain who cursed the Lord. And so I thought, now, I took it from the angle of, again, of young people. Now that ship must have had a cabin boy. And the cabin boy's only a kid, he couldn't be evil. So him and his poor little dog, they are the two innocent souls aboard that ship, and they're saved from going into eternity, you know. And I got to write then. What I really like writing is so much about the sea.
Well, you spent the early part of your life on the sea.
I was a pirate. I'm pirates, Tom. We go along, you know, we do pirate jokes with the kids, you know. What's a pirate's favourite animal? An aardvark. We go along doing these jokes in the car, you know, with the children. Yeah. Yeah, and I really like that series, but now that is a difficult one to write because you've got to be correct with your research, you know, the period, the year, the part of the world, what was going on, so you've got to, you know, you've got to be a little bit on your toes. You can't just invent it like Redwall, which I don't invent anyhow because I try to keep some truth in Redwall with, you know, the flora and fauna and all that kind of thing, you know. And I don't have, you know, fairies jumping out of trees and saying, you shall win the war, you know.
Besides, well, people learning this one, don't mess with a swan's egg.
That's right. Oh, yeah, yeah. You don't mess with a swan. Don't tell them too much.
No, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I like this book, you know. And I like this artwork. It's what I wanted, you know. This lad, Troy Howell, he's a great artist. And I wanted that sort of, instead of all the armour and the great big battle axe, a real young bruiser of a homespun badger with his simple pitchfork, you know, and he's facing the world, but he don't care. And he's big enough to do the job.
He is. And he's had some hard times in this story.
Oh,
even before the story starts.
That's right, yeah.
He's had a tough time.
Yes, he was up on the northern coast.
But he's been a good boy. He's been a good grandson, too.
Has. Yeah.
There's something in here I wanted to talk about, too. You put a dedication in every book. And every dedication, there's a story behind the dedication.
Yeah.
And this is this particularly heartfelt dedication to Peter McGovern.
Peter McGovern.
Can you tell us the story of that?
Well, you know, I was a folk singer for years. I still do folk singing, but the premier folk singer that Liverpool ever had was Peter McGovern, and me and lots of people always look on him as the father of folk in our area. And Peter was such a nice, gentle giant of a man. And he actually, he wrote, I think he used My Old Strawberry Roan, the cowboy tune, My Old Strawberry Roan. But he wrote this song called In My Liverpool Home, you see. And he wrote this song, and it's become our national anthem more so than God Save the Queen or anything. In Liverpool, in my Liverpool home and everywhere you go in England, as soon as you get a few pints and in the pub, in my Liverpool home we speak with an accent exceedingly rare. It's a lovely song. And Peter and I were the greatest of friends, you know, and he's just a wonderful man. And he just, like that. But the way he liked, the way we'd like to go, Liverpool soccer team had won that day. He was a great crossword fan, and there's this difficult crossword called Araucaria. He'd solved his Araucaria crossword. He'd had a couple of Guinness, and he lay down and just never woke up. And I still, when I go anywhere, if I go to a gig anywhere, I look at the door and I'd expect to see Peter McGovern with that old guitar, Desiree, that he had coming through the door. All right, kid, how's it going? You know, nice. And so I thought I must dedicate it to him. You know, I loved him so much, and he's left such a gap.
But he's also left behind memories and songs.
Oh, Peter, everybody's got a nice word to say for him. You know, real big union man. And at his funeral, he wanted everybody to sing "So Long It's Been Good to Know You." None of these, you know. Oh Lord, you know, and all the old Union songs, Joe Hill and
oh my heavens,
yeah, and the old Irish drinking songs, the Parting Glass, you know. Good night and joy be with you all.
You know, I wanted to talk about something else that we touched on before we started this show. In your books, and we've talked about this before, you deal with loss. People, characters who are loved die because there's always a struggle.
It's life
and
death,
you lose friends.
Yeah.
And you remember them fondly and you move on. And in many instances, some of our favorite characters become the people they become because of the struggles they go through.
That's right.
But coming here, you just recently met some young men and women who are going through some remarkable struggles themselves. Can you talk about that a little?
Well, yeah, I was asked to go and see this young lad at the Walter Reed Hospital, and we went there, and I really wasn't expecting, you know, and the lad's just over 20. He's his name's Reese, and he comes from Lubbock, Texas. He's a young married fella, his wife, and he's got two lovely little kids, a little son, a little daughter.
Oh.
And in Iraq, he had both legs blown clean off.
Oh my God!
And I went to see him, and you know, oh, Sam. I said to him, you know, Reese, I said, look, I write about warriors. I said, but what a privilege it is to meet a real warrior. I mean, this kid's so brave. He's sitting up in bed, there's only half of him there, you know. And he's talking about what he's going to do when he gets out, and he's always read my books and this and that and the other, you know. And but I thought, well, you know, if you have made somebody happy with your writings, you know, and give somebody like a little bit of comfort or in the dark times when they read the book, you know, it's a little bit of an incentive to them, or a little bit of happiness for them, you know, because he's growing up, and one day he'll be a child of our age, won't he? You know, and I always like to think that kids of our age, it'd be terrible if we grew up all together. We must carry a little bit of childhood in there, Tom. And so, I mean, I would like, I'm staying in touch with Reese, and all the books he hasn't read, and this and that and the other, you know, and we're sending some graphic, they've got
the graphic novels, the Redwall graphic novel.
Redwall, yeah. And we'll send him some talking books out of Redwall, and send him some for his little ones, you know, the Great Redwall Feast and stuff like that.
Which is a wonderful, wonderful book. I love that book.
The Redwall Feast.
Oh, it's marvelous. Yeah. The artwork and the storyline, you just feel like you're in the middle of it.
Yeah, the artwork, you know, Christopher Denisi done all the artwork. When I'm signing for the kids, I say, do you know the man who did all these beautiful drawings in this book? And they go, yeah. And I say, well, he did a picture of me when I was a small child. And they go, I said, do you want to see it? Yeah. I turned the book over and there's a picture of a baby mole on the back of the book. And the kids, they break up. They go, hey, Mom, he was a mole.
This is really your break. This you get to see the people you've affected, and you get to see what they really think. And with the kids, it's unvarnished truth.
Oh, they're smashing the kids, aren't they? They're good, you know. I mean, they wear the heart on the sleeve, and they just come out with it, and they say it, and they don't, you know. I mean, yeah.
It's marvelous. Well, okay, 20. My God, 20. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
20. And what's next? More Redwall? More?
Yeah. I've written one called The Doom Whites. It's a Redwall novel. And Doom Whites, W-Y-T-E-S, were like corpse lights that used to hang around graveyards in the old legends. And the white, a traveller could be lost in the night in the forest. And you see the whites, and it looked like this friendly little light, and they'd lead him to death. You see, and that's the basic premise of it. You know, but kids write to me, you know, Tom, and they say, one fellow wrote one time I was ill, and he'd heard of it. Dear Mr. Jacques, I am your #1 fan, and if you die, can I keep writing Redwall? Oh, you know, quite the thing. And others walk up to me, the budding authors, and they say, well, I've written a book, you know, and I was inspired by your... I say, oh, that's very nice. And she, it's nothing like your book. I say, well, that's good, because it must be original. So, no, it's called Greenwall. And it's... But we only start by copying, don't we? I mean, you know,
and
styles.
And you surrender to the urge to write, and then you find what you want to write, and then you write.
Then you write, yeah.
And as long as you keep doing it, we're going to keep reading it. I want to warn you.
Well, I still will, Tom, just for you. And all the children like you.
Thank you, Brian. There's not enough time. There's never enough time.
No.
Thank you so much for coming and seeing us.
Eulalia! Eulalia! Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. Well, that's it for this edition of Fast Forward. If you've had as much fun as I have, I'm sure you're going to come back and see us again. Until then, this is Tom Schaad saying, take care.